Today's episode is brought to you by the savior of Buffalo, Andy Dalton.
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, the Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Holy crap, we did it! Woo! I'm a changed man, chat. Podcast fans. It's a whole new world for me. My Buffalo Bills have made the playoffs in 17 years.
What?
Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
I'm
You
assuming
kidding
we're
me?
playing the
Playoffs?
Okay. Yeah, so, man, my whole life got turned upside down on Sunday.
In a good way.
Yes, in the best way possible. It's like a literal miracle. I don't understand how it happened. I still don't believe it. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be angry at. I've just been sitting here. Yeah, I've just been sitting here since Sunday writing angry letters, and they're not addressed to anybody, so they're just gonna like sit here unsent, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Crazy. It's gonna bleed into just about every conversation we have here, so no need to dwell on it too much. I'll save some other fun facts for later.
Let's just say that it was so momentous that even I was watching it.
Yeah, big, huge moment for the city of Buffalo. Like, we love football, and it had been so long and been so painful.
Yeah,
and we got there finally.
Yeah, despite our own trying earlier on in the season, we still did it.
Against our better efforts and our coach's decision making, we got there. But I promised if he made it, I would consider his mistake erased and shut up. So I won't bring.
Yeah, I'm not going to go any deeper into that. Let's move right along. I want to bring this up because I don't usually, for better or for worse, probably for worse, I don't say the episode number at the beginning of the episode, but today's episode is episode 99. 99 for High Noon Podcast, which means next episode is episode 100. And Deathblow, what's episode 100 line up perfectly with?
Oh my goodness, the start of the season. It's almost like we, on zero preparation, put out an episode for New Year's week and Christmas week just so that we wouldn't screw up this numbering system.
No, you think about it. We just, all the breaks we took, all the weeks off we took, all that stuff just lined up perfectly with episode 100 being directly in line with the start of Overwatch League. So
all I heard was that it's Blizzard's fault we had to work on Christmas because they took away Overwatch for 1 week too long. That's all I heard.
Yes.
That's what we do here, right? We just blame Blizzard for everything.
Blame Blizzard for everything.
It's been a while. Our vacation has me out of sorts. I'm like
completely
in a
out of
weird
sorts.
mood.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Went back to work today. But yeah, so this is episode 99. Episode 100 is coming at the normal time next week. And we're hopefully going to have a little bit of a makeover. We're going to, and you'll feel, I mean, we're not going to do too many hard changes to the show, but you'll feel the tonality and the focus of the show shifting obviously more heavily towards Overwatch League. We've basically been saying this since Overwatch League was announced.
Thought of. It was still an idea in Nate Mather's brain that had been spoken out loud. And that's been our plan. But yeah, we're gonna drop most of the tier 2 stuff at least during the season. We'll go back, we'll catch up, we'll do things in between stages, stuff like that. But honestly, I'm like worried about only doing one episode a week with wanting to like recap every match and then preview every match again. So things are going to get kind of structured around here a little bit. And if you're watching specifically, you're going to notice some upgrades. So if you do tune in ever on YouTube, or maybe you don't normally, but you have once, you know what everything looks like now. Things will be a little different and hopefully a little cooler. Some small changes on the audio end, but you guys won't notice them except for we'll point them out because we're
yeah. But with the start of the Overwatch League, we are doing a Pick'em League.
Yes.
Through the High Noon Pick'em, aptly named. We are on the High Noon Pick'em website. We're one of the featured ones to join, or featured leagues to join. So I think you posted the link in the Discord. So if you have not already, you can post it. Depending on when you hear this, you might not be able to pick the teams yet. That's just because it'll be out in a day or two, depending on when you see it. More than
if
likely,
you're listening this on your usual podcasting app, it's probably able to just go in and be picked. I talked to the guy that runs the website. He said, it should be up tonight or tomorrow morning, the ability to make your week 1 picks. But nonetheless, you can get in the league, you can join up, you can get ready to go. We've got all the High Noon staff is signed up for it. So you'll be kind of competing with us a little bit. And, there's going to be a little prize here. We're putting a little something behind it. We don't know what the turnout's going to be. We don't know how you guys feel about this. I'll tell you this, though. If you blow our minds as far as our expectations go for entrance, we will up the game a little bit more.
I'm always willing to add a little more spice to the brew.
But Blevins, tell them what they can win.
Yeah, so you can win if you get first place in the league. We're giving away a High Noon Podcast t-shirt, 10 loot boxes, and a free sub to High Noon Podcast. So we can gift subs now, we can gift loot boxes, and we can gift you shirts. So right now, that's first place. Second place is going to be just the 10 loot boxes and the sub, and third place is going to be just the sub. So I don't have any specific stretch goals or anything in mind, but if we start getting a lot of people, I'm always willing to add fuel to the fire. So we're just going to play that one by ear. It's going to be fun.
Sounds like you're going to burn a fuel jersey. I respect that.
Ooh, no. Maybe.
We'll see how many people we get. I mean, if that's what they want, we'll do anything for the viewers.
If we get 10,000, no, I'm not making any promises right now. So join that. The link is on the Discord. I'll also post the link in the episode link on Twitter, and you'll be able to find it.
And keep an ear open. There's no timetable, but I just want to tease it a little bit. We talked about dropping the tier 2 coverage some. That would be from this show. But I can't close the door on some familiar names starting a developmental league or a tier 2 scene podcast on our Twitch and things like that. So definitely keep an ear out for that.
We've got a lot of stuff in the works. We have some even more interesting tier 2 and even more secret tier 2 stuff that is currently in the very early stages of development. So that's going to be awesome. I know it's probably going to happen, and it'll happen with us because we're going to be so busy watching the Overwatch League that a lot of the contenders and open division stuff is going to get swept under the rug for a lot of people. But for the diehard fans and the people who are just interested about the up and comers, we're going to be putting out some content for that. So keep an eye out for that. And also to wrap up the housekeeping, I just wanted to remind everyone that we still have our Stage 1 giveaway. You can find all the links to that on our pinned tweet on Twitter. We're giving away an Overwatch League jersey of your choice, as well as is this it? Yeah. Overwatch World Cup pin. I don't think you can get these anymore, so they might be rare. So we're giving away those. All the giveaway details for that are on the pinned tweet on Twitter, and then the Pick'em League is in our Discord, and it will be on Twitter probably by the time you hear this. So, moving right along, let's talk about what we did last week. I know we pretty much have a similar answer for this, but anything have
I mentioned that the Buffalo Bills made the playoffs? I don't know if I brought it up at all. I lose track. I can't focus throughout the day anymore. Like, I got nothing done at work today because I'm just like, the Bills made the playoffs. I just want to listen to everything.
They made
watch every video. Everything.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
I just got to assume you're playing. We need a better system.
I'm going to try to cue it. I'm going to try to make it as obvious as possible that I'm playing this.
Okay. Or just pepper it in over me talking. It's fine. But yeah, so I mean, also it's been a long time since we talked to you guys. We've been on like Overwatch vacation. I have the ambitious goal of literally seeing every minute of Overwatch League Season 1. So I took a full break from everything Overwatch. I didn't play. I didn't coach. I didn't do anything. I did try to do that stupid map review video, and I'm getting close to giving up on being able to make something that's got a decent enough production value. Maybe the thing to do is just do like a live stream of it or something like that. I don't know. I'll keep looking at it and working on it because it is something I really, really want to do. But we got a lot coming up, so it might get pushed, pushed aside for the other content as well. We'll see. But yeah, it was Christmas. I got like a whole new bed set, like a new comforter,
Nice.
a new everything. So like, all I want to do is sleep. Like I'm just waiting for this episode to end so I can just go back to bed. It's just the most comfortable place ever. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. Been a relaxing, couple weeks off.
Yeah, I took a similar Overwatch hiatus. I was out of town pretty much the entire week from Christmas to New Year's. I did a lot of stuff, but none of that stuff was Overwatch related. I got a lot of cool stuff for Christmas because I'm a spoiled brat. I got to see Drunk Shakespeare in New York City, which, by the way, if you're in New York City and you appreciate like improv theater or just theater at all, like go see Drunk Shakespeare if you're of age. It was awesome. We're not sponsored by Drunk Shakespeare or anything, but it was just a really unique experience and it was awesome. So definitely check that out. But yeah, I did in fact watch the end of the Bills game and the end of the Bengals game. So that was exciting. Like even as like I was in a room with a bunch of people who some people really cared about football, but most of the people in the room were like, oh, okay, football. Yeah. Or even like actively like, I hate football. And every single person in that room was like screaming and going crazy when Andy Dalton threw that touchdown. Like,
yeah, it was like you could go outside and just hear yelling, and everybody was just like driving around, beeping their horns and screaming their faces off. It was New Year's Eve. It was a crazy night in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Although I guess nobody went to the ball drop.
No,
it was like record low attendance.
Yeah, because it was literally 2 degrees out.
I don't think it was that, because that didn't stop them from queuing up at the airport for where the Bills plane landed. No joke. There was thousands of people there. I think that's just where the last second change, everybody that bought tickets from downtown Audible to the airport just stand next to a fence.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about what I did was I got mistaken for a Buffalo Bill at the bar, which makes no sense because he's like twice my size and also was in Miami at the time. So how could, never mind. It's fine. Someone thought I was Kyle Williams in the bathroom, and I was like, dude, are you Kyle Williams? And I was like, yes, I am. And he was like, oh, dude, you can pee in front of me. I'm like, I really wish you would have finished peeing before you offered that. And like, just finish up. It was really awkward, but it was awesome. But let's move right along to
Overwatch Today, Meme of the Week.
We have the Meme of the Week, and because we want to finally start talking about Overwatch, we've got a Buffalo Bills meme.
Yeah. I mean, let's
you want to take this one over?
You knew it was coming. It's just a 4-panel meme with some things that happened the last time. The things that were true the last time the Buffalo Bills had made the playoffs. And the first one is the most recent Windows operating system. It was Windows 95. Let's see. The second panel here, Toy Story, the original one.
Number one.
Was in theaters. Bill Clinton was our president, and our active quarterback, the one that just got us to the playoffs, was 6 years old. Tyrod Taylor was 6 years old. Fun fact, I was 13 years old. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's been more than half my life so far.
10. I was 10.
It was quite a ride, but I promise, guys, that's it. We will, other than the sporadic outbursts probably at the end, or just the 1 or 2 comments throughout the show.
Yeah, the Overwatch part of the show is happening now.
Yeah, we're actually going to stop talking.
Yeah. I thought I had one more thing to say about the Bills, but I don't remember what it was, so it probably wasn't important. So let's move right along to
It's Tournament Talk.
Why did I queue up the tournament talk music when we have no tournaments to say? because I'm an idiot, but also because if you look down at the bottom of the screen, sorry, podcast listeners, but you look down at the bottom of the screen, we have finally remade the match ticker that we're going to be using forever now. And basically everything we do, we're going to have that match ticker down there for results, for upcoming matches, for news, for whatever a normal sort of sports ticker would be used for. We're going to be using it down there. Let us know what you think. I think we've got it at a really good spot right now, but if there's something like, oh, I can't see it on my screen, it's moving too fast, it's moving too slow, the colors are stupid, you're stupid, let us know, and I can definitely change it. But I'm pretty happy with where it is right now. I think we're in a good spot with that.
In the future, it'll have like the results and then the upcoming matchups for the next week, things like that. We're just trying to come up with ways to give you guys more information. We really do want the show and the Twitch channel to be kind of like and the YouTube channel to be like a one-stop shop for you.
And I'm going to do my best to not put jokes in the ticker like they do on The Onion.
Yeah, like every time we've done one, I've wanted to like throw in like go corn dogs or like hashtag Greenwall at the end, but we're gonna we'll keep it just what you need to know, and then our content will be what we pollute with jokes.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw in jokes in there if they're really funny, but if not, then not. But we did want to, so we were thinking like, okay, well, there's no tournaments, there's some news and stuff to talk about, but really like there's not a lot to talk about in regards to Overwatch League. So what we wanted to do was see what other sports podcasts do, in between their preseason and their regular season. Like a lot of these shows don't stop, or so that they have, their preseason shows. So Deathblow did his football podcast research, and we've got this section that we're probably only going to do before stages or before seasons. I don't know. We'll see how
it's
much
usually a
like
preseason.
Let us know what you think about it. Yeah.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
We're not ready for the playoffs.
Playoffs?
But let us know what you think about it. If you like it, maybe we'll incorporate it more. But it's definitely going to be a preseason thing. But we're going to do some bold predictions. So, Deathblow, I know you want to do like every other, like 1-1, or do you want to do your 4 or your few and then?
We can start 1-1 should work because I have one more than you. So
okay,
as long as I go first and last, it should still work out.
Yep.
So to kick us off here, the first one is one I've kind of mentioned in the past. It's I'm going to label a specific team here, but I've talked about them being the most volatile of the rosters in the league, kind of the most plus or minus capability, the most ability to over and underperform, and that's the London Spitfire. And I'm going to just go ahead and say, after seeing a very underwhelming performance from half of their team, I think they're going to find a way to mismanage it here. I don't think they're going to want to keep those guys down forever, right? And just keep them on the bench 100% of the time. I think they're going to be forced to kind of bring them in, play them, and I think it's going to lead to some major problems within the team, and it's going to cost them their chance at the playoffs here. So that's my number one, is that the London Spitfire will mismanage their roster badly enough to miss the playoffs in the first season.
Gotcha. They're
playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
I'm not gonna pepper
playoffs.
I love that.
Drop abuse. Drop abuse.
Okay, so my first bold prediction is that the San Francisco Shock will not make room for either Super or Sinatraa when they become available. Now, I would have thought this prediction even bolder before the preseason, but we saw basically the San Francisco Shock team actually do pretty well. I think a lot better than a lot of people thought in the preseason. We saw Baby Bay really kind of just become a household name almost in one day with his insane play. And, there's been some interviews with the coaching staff and the support staff of the San Francisco Shock that are like, yeah, we brought on Super and Sinatraa and we're paying them a lot of money because they're really good players and we think that they can earn their spot, but they do in fact have to earn those spots. So I could absolutely see, if San Francisco Shock is doing well at the time when these players unlock, like don't fix it if it ain't broke, right? Like you don't want to throw a wrench, even if it, on paper will make the team better. Like you don't want to throw a wrench into a machine that's working well. So, this is partly, I guess, this like side bold prediction of San Francisco Shock will be doing pretty well when they when they unlock. But I would not be surprised if we saw, either Super or Sinatra, or quite frankly both. If we saw both of them, not get the starting spot right off the bat, and B, if they don't even like really see that much play at all, if they just get mixed in a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. We're even currently seeing like IDDQD. I don't think got the playing time I personally expected him to get.
Yeah.
And when you throw him into the wrench, maybe him and Sinatra and Dante. Now Dante played really, really well, and he's always played really, really well. And I don't know about the depth of his hero pool, but if the meta stays something Tracer centric, I could really see this being a case where, Dante stays to not disrupt the swing of things. And we saw Nevix play pretty well, considering he's kind of in that similar role as Super and going to be playing in that flex role. I could see Nevix staying in there. Now he had inconsistencies, but he's a very flexible player that's moved around a lot. And this is kind of his first time on tank. So I wouldn't fall out of my chair if neither of them came in right away, and they got worked in slowly. So I definitely like that one.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting one.
So my next one here, it's short and simple and to the point. And listen, we saw him pop off like crazy and just look like a huge difference maker. And he changed the minds of people that actively dislike this team a little bit. Not stopped them from disliking them, but made them respect the team. I think Linkser is going to be the league's MVP this year. For being a non-Korean team, Houston has high expectations, but I think they can live up to those expectations. And if they do, and if they're in the playoff race, and if they get, they make a really good run of things here, I think Linkser will be almost more of a pivotal piece than anybody else on any other team. We saw how the team did without, with their old DPS core. So let's see what they do with their new DPS core. And I think Linkser has a chance to really be the star of that team and this league as a whole. So I'm going to give him the MVP trophy this year.
Yeah, honestly, like as much as I want to hate on the Outlaws, like if they really do pop off, I just have to imagine that it's going to be on the back of Linkser. We both have been huge Linkser fans since the early days, the Creation Esports days, the Google Me days,
right?
Way back then. He's just been such a phenomenal player for so long, and being in a spot where he's not on a Korean team, obviously, but like when he was put on Giganti, like he was given an opportunity to shine, and he did. He really led them to the Contenders Season 1 championship.
Yeah, it's a good point. We've already seen him join a roster and give them a championship. Not like he carried them or anything, but like he was a very pivotal and very important member of that. Yeah, and he helped them level up and get to where they needed to go. Hopefully, he can do it again. Oh, Greenwell.
No. But, credit where credit's due. Linkser's been absolutely phenomenal. And I think, we kind of see him with that, like, almost like EU style, like that, like the EU superstar is the very flexible player, the Tvix, the Linksers, the IDDQDs, IDDQD, maybe not as much as the others, but like they have a wide swath of heroes, and really can fill the role that needs to be played for the team. And when you have a team that, again, credit where credit's due, is as good as the Outlaws, Linkser is really going to be able to fill in any holes where they might be lacking. So definitely could see that one.
Make sure you guys clip Blevins saying nice things about Houston so I can use it against them after they win in week 1.
No, they will not.
2-0, baby.
So my second one is that a team that the community rated under number 6, so I'll just go with number 6 or under, is going to finish better than a Korean roster. So that would be like, I don't know, Shanghai finishing better than either Seoul, London, or New York.
I'll say this. If you take my first bold prediction as a granted, then it's not.
Right. So if we would
if the London Spitfire missed the playoffs, somebody has to do that.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, I think it's just it doesn't even like none of it. This prediction is not based on paper. It's not based on facts. It's not based on anything I've actually seen. It's one of those like gut predictions that really, I mean, what does it mean? I don't know, nothing probably, but it's one of those things where like I just can't imagine that with a season as long as it is for Overwatch League, that we're going to see the teams that we predict to be in the top 4 all be in the top 4. I give more credit to the rest of the field right now, and I give more credit to the rest of the field to improve and to catch up and to get better based on the other teams that are playing. It's not like a Gosu Gamers Weekly where Envious is so much better than everyone and they just dominate everyone because they only play people one time or maybe twice, and you don't get to learn and you don't get to improve based on them. They're playing a long season. Teams are going to be playing against each other multiple times. They're going to be scrimming with each other because really they can only scrim with themselves or potentially with high-level contenders teams. But, you know, teams are going to be presented with a much better opportunity to improve, and they're also going to be incentivized much more to improve even between stages. So I would be extremely surprised. I think almost a bolder prediction would be that our community power rankings that we put out now are exactly correct. I think that like having Seoul, New York, and London all, and I'll even throw Dallas in there, having those 4 be the top 4, I think that's a bold prediction, honestly, even though it seems obvious on paper. I give more credit to the rest of the field and to the league for incentivizing teams to do better as the season goes on. I just give them more credit than just crumbling, you know, based on
it's
what
one of those things that goes back to our lifetime of watching sports.
Yeah.
Teaches us that over these long seasons and when things go on this long, like there's no way you get it right in the preseason. Right. Like there's no way. So to act like, I mean, literally any one of these teams, like you could literally come to me and say number 1 Boston, number 2 Shanghai. I mean, I will laugh at you, but I can't completely dismiss it. I just have to tell you that based off what I've seen, that's crazy, but I can't completely dismiss it. Like we've never seen this league run before, right? Like we have less reason to think we're accurate in our predictions than literally every other person that's ever covered a major sports season or, you know, anything like that, because it's so new. It's literally not in existence until next week on Monday or on Wednesday. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely, would be bolder to say that we nailed it originally, but yeah, I don't mind that one as bold for sure. For my next bold prediction, I'm going to go ahead and say that Florida will, if they are allowed to, that is, drop half of their current roster during the transfer window and bring in replacements. So I'm talking about like -3 +6 is what they're going to do, and they're going to overhaul their entire team in a way that you know, they seem to be living in past esports land, where it's okay to, you know, to just have only 6 players and things like that, you know. And when I say if allowed, I mean, I'm operating under the assumption that they are going to be able to drop players mid-season and then continue to pay them like in traditional sports. Like you still have to pay out the salary for a player if you cut them, if you sign them to a contract, they're signed. Assuming that's going to be allowed, I would expect Florida to cut ties with half their guys and bring in a slew of replacements and try to right what I'm assuming is going to be a sinking ship at that point, or at least an off-course ship. That, you know, they seem to be having problems. They don't seem to be adapting to the new circumstances well, and I think they're going to be forced to do that as soon as stage 1 closes.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't be that surprised, honestly. On the one hand, I wouldn't be. On the other hand, I would be. So it seems like, I mean, just in our talks with Mineral, it seems like they, at least when we talked to him, I don't know, going on a month or 2 now ago, I lost all concept of time, but at some point, probably at least a month ago, Mineral said that their core, they're building around this core, like they, you know, they're happy with the 6 that they have. I mean, maybe he just had to say that because they couldn't, you know, add anyone else yet.
Right.
But, you know, they're happy with that core. So I think that they want to keep that intact, at least in some ways. I mean, they obviously have had success in the past. That doesn't mean that they're going to have success in the future, but they have had success in the past, and they're happy with that core. I also don't know if there's any reason to drop players instead of just keeping them, unless they get bought out. Like if you have rosters.
That's the bold part about it, because part of what I'm saying here is that they're going to be losing. Okay, there's going to be internal disagreements and problems, and they're going to feel it's better for the team to actually drop these guys instead. That's kind of what I'm getting at with that. That's what the bold part of it is. Not very bold to say they'll add some players, but I'm saying they're going to cut players. They're going to remove them from the building, get them out of their scrims, and attempt to do some addition by subtraction.
Gotcha.
Spoiler alert, it won't be Tavik.
It better not be, or else
it won't be Tavik.
Like the Mayhem are 100% the Cavaliers or the Heat for me. Like I don't care about the team, I just care about the player 100%. Whereas like XL, I'm the opposite way. I'm more like I'm a diehard that fan. But yeah, if that's the case, I mean, there is actually, I guess there is a reason to drop players instead of just keeping them on, is like you don't want to necessarily, like if you don't plan on keeping them around or like having them after the contract, like them getting your inside your playbook, well, obviously not actual playbooks, but like your strategies and whatnot, your scrim stuff.
It's not about is there a reason to get rid of them, it's is there a reason to keep them, because there's always dangers by having more people in the room, you know what I mean, whatever.
Defectors.
I don't know. I don't even think it's all going to be about play. I think it's going to be frustrating to be in that Miami locker room for the first stage. I think they're going to have some problems. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's why these are bold predictions, guys. These aren't things we're saying are likely to happen. These are things we're saying I won't be surprised if they happen. I wouldn't bet on it that they cut 3 players, but I can easily see something.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any stock into what we're saying because we're savanting right now. So in the same vein as the bold prediction that Florida will cut half of their roster, my bold prediction is that they'll make the playoffs. So listen, I've had,
we could both be right, to be clear.
Honestly, I think one fuels the other. But I've been a proponent of Florida being underrated, and then they went ahead and just really crapped the bed on me in the preseason, which is fine. I'm still fine with that. Like they showed patches of being a real team, but there's a lot of factors that we've talked about and other podcasts and everything. The community has talked about ad nauseum about why they may or may not have performed as good as they may or may not be able to. So I'm not going to get into that, but I still believe that a team with Tavik on it can and will win. And honestly, like you just need to be in the top half, right, to make the playoffs. Right? Top 6. Yeah. So, don't ask me the question of who they're replacing out of the playoffs, because I'm not going to answer that right now. We've done enough mindless speculation, but honestly, like I think that depending on how they take it, obviously they could just be like, okay, well, we're going to be a 10th place team this season and we're going to, fight for the next season. But I think that signing window is really going to be the time for Florida to really do an overhaul. They are in the best position to do that overhaul. They have obviously the most number of free spaces on their roster to do that overhaul. Now, will that overhaul pay off immediately? Probably not. But if they can keep a decent record throughout the first 2 stages and then have a super team with, the core of misfits and the best prospects from, the contenders pool and the not already in Overwatch League pool, like they have a good shot. Like we've seen these teams that we personally have made, as well as other members of the community, make these teams out of players who haven't been drafted yet, and a lot of those teams are really good. And say what you will about Florida Mayhem right now, they're still a good team. They've have a proven record of success. They just need to be able to maintain what they've been able to do, and keep an even keel here and then upgrade in the second half of the second stage as well as the final stages during those, and really take advantage of those trade or the signing period after stage 2. I think you really do have the opportunity. They really do have the opportunity they have the best opportunity to take the biggest, to take the most out of the signing stage.
Since it's a light episode anyways, I'm just going to kind of pose this question to you now. It's along the same vein, and it might be more relevant for Florida than any other team because they have that talent, because they have that core. They're going to be a team that has a real chance to underperform early and then make a run, right? So what is the panic number? Like, what is the number of wins that panics you coming out of the first stage? It's 40 matchups. There's 10 in each stage. So you get to play 10 times. How many?
You play 10 times. So you're saying, like, what
is
the minimum number?
Trigger my panic mode, cutting 3 people, bringing in a whole new group.
Honestly, I think if you see like anything below 3 or below, I think if you go 3 and 7 as the Mayhem, you're thinking. I don't know if you trigger. I mean, obviously, if you go 0-10, I think you trigger something massive. I think even a 1 or 2 wins, I think you're really still probably triggering something. And at 3 to 4 wins, I don't know if you're going to cut players, unless like some of the players are toxic or just really don't want to be there. But I think. I mean, regardless, I think they're definitely going to be picking people up they should be looking to pick people up.
Yeah, they'll definitely be adding it for sure.
But really, I think 3 or fewer wins in that first stage, I think you're really, I mean, as a player, I think that's just miserable, right?
So I think you've said both. I just want to be clear. Is 3 okay? And so 2 and 1 is panic? Like 0-1 is panic, or is 3 in panic?
I think if I'm the GM of the Mayhem, I'm panicking at 3 and 7.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say 3 is the highest number where I would hit the panic button on. I think, like we said, a fast start's going to be important. You're not the only one getting better, right? Like later on when you have the top tier teams that have kept their roster for 2 years and, it's going to be easier to say, okay, they're not going to get better. But right now, I think the whole league from the bottom to the top is going to be making leaps and bounds improvements as the season goes on. So I would, in most seasons, I would say I've got a chance at like 2 to like, you know what I mean? I'm not panicking yet. It's only 10 games. Like 2 wins sounds really bad, but there's a lot of time to make up for it, right? So you've only got to like slightly exceed expectations to kind of make that up and get you back to like a 500 record, or something like that. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I think that's one of the things I'm most interested at looking at is what do things look like after each stage? What are acceptable records? I feel like hockey gets this a lot, right? With their point totals. And it's like, I have this many points at this point at the All-Star break. And then we're going to be talking about like X percentage of teams have made it when having this record. You know what I mean? Like that's where all the fun stats come from, and that's definitely something I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, and honestly, Taco from OverwatchScore.com in chat brings up a good point that they have a pretty rough schedule, and I think honestly, it's almost less about what their record is and more about like, are they winning the games that they're supposed to win?
Yeah, and are they competitive against those top end teams?
Right. Are they getting completely dumpstered by New York and Shanghai and?
I said top end teams.
I will just cut the podcast right now. I said New York first on purpose, like New York.
But then you
Shanghai.
paired them with Shanghai. Let's talk about.
Sorry.
That.
Oh no, I did the Thorn Rain. Oh God, I pulled the Thorn. You know what? I did the Thorn Rain.
New York and Shanghai are roughly in the same tier, according to Blevins. Apparently, that's okay. What happens.
I'm giving myself a shame bell for that.
Shame.
It feels so much worse because I have to physically press the button.
No one feels shame like
Thorn Rain feels so good right now. He's been vindicated. New York and Seoul, period, not Shanghai. If they're competitive against those, I'm never going to be able to get over that now. Luckily, I'm the host of the other show. If they're competitive against those teams, that's, if they lose but are competitive against those teams and losing those matches, but they're close, I don't think you hit the panic button, even if it is like a 3. I don't have their schedule in front of me, but if they have a very hard schedule and they're playing against, a lot of those top tier teams, a 3-7 record may not be as bad as it looks. However, if they're losing to the teams that they're, quote unquote supposed to beat, then all of a sudden, like, maybe they do deserve to be at the bottom and they need to do something about that, especially since not only is the goal of Overwatch League Season 1 to win the Overwatch League and do as well as you can, it's also to build fans, and no one wants to be the fan of the 10th place team, especially if you don't live there. And we've, just from me
talking to Thornrain, nobody wants to even root for it. I mean, they will anyways, don't get me wrong, but like nobody wants to be a Cleveland Browns fan. They want to root for another team,
but like even just
like
like
16 Thorn,
the perfect season, the moon shot, they shot the moon. Even like just from like looking at the other Overwatch League teams and stuff, like Florida has like a pretty not as enthused crowd of supporters. Like they don't have the like inherent, like Misfits is not as big of a brand as Optic or Envy or any of those other ones, and they don't have the like big backing of the other a professional sports team. So they're coming from behind, and they're a little bit neutered for a lot of reasons, and not doing well is not going to help them.
That was my favorite phrasing for any sentence you've ever said.
What did I
say? Well, go find the clip. Moving us along here. It was a long tirade about Florida. I'm going to shift things over back to the state of Dallas, or not the state of Dallas, the state of Texas, but not Houston. We'll talk about Texas this time. My next bold prediction is that, assuming he doesn't talk his way out of it, by the end of the season, XQC will have more minutes played for the Dallas Fuel than Coco. I really think if the meta stays dive centric, right? I mean, if it goes back to Reinhardt, this is clearly wrong. Coco should keep that job. But if things stay Winston based, I really think the Envious lineup, as good as they've been, have kind of wanted to mess around with dive a little bit more. They wanted to play that. And I really now, after seeing the World Cup, after seeing the preseason, XQC's play in game, I promise it's only his play in game, has been impressing me. I've really enjoyed getting to see him play that aggressive style. It's a lot of fun to watch a really, really aggressive Winston, and XQC does it really well. So I think he has a good chance to earn himself a lot of playing time. Hopefully he doesn't shoot himself in the foot, because he is a fun player to watch. And listen, I don't root for, I don't condone, I don't applaud the Terrell Owens type, or you know what I mean, the constantly in the negative light thing, but I don't mind him either. Like, I don't hate people for it. I totally get you. Be you. If that's who you are, go do it. I don't care. But he's got to stop, right? Because it just feels like something's going to happen with him. And playing time aside, as much as I think he might be the better Winston between him and Coco, the minimal I've gotten to see him, play the character at the same time, he's probably not so much better that you want to deal with somebody that's making your team look bad or things like that. So he's got to calm himself down a little bit, but I think he's played really well. I think he's not necessarily peaking, but at least so far, right? He's playing at the best I've seen him play, and he's doing it at the right time to help his Overwatch League team. So I think they'll let him do it. I think there's a good chance he has more playing time than Coco by season 2.
Yeah, this is another one where at first it sounded really crazy, like Envious, bro. Ever heard of him? Yeah. Coco probably has more wins than a lot of Overwatch League teams total have. But I could definitely see it. It's really going to be dependent on the meta. It's really going to be dependent on how seriously XQC takes the opportunity he has. So
this would have been too bold even for me when they signed him. But just having seen the World Cup now in the preseason, starting to make a little bit more sense. I could definitely see it.
Yeah. And my last bold prediction is one of the more abstract ones, but I think that we will see at least a chunk of a team, or maybe some chunks from a couple of teams, defect from the team, like actively want to, either get cut or whatever, get traded, or I don't know how it would work logistically, but defect in some way from the team to join a season 2 created team. So,
are you saying mid-season, like during the acquisition window, they do what they can to get removed, or are you saying end of season?
I don't know if you can do it the logistics of it I'm not sure about, but I think by the start of season 2 we will see a season 2 team that has a majority players who played in season 1. That's basically how I would put it.
Gotcha.
Like I talked about this in one of the other episodes, where like I could definitely see, like, depending on how this ties into our other ones, depending on how Spitfire manages their 2 separate rosters, I could see one of the rosters being like, you know what, we don't need to be the bench team. We're just going to be the Toronto Tempest now. Like, we're going to we are the Toronto Tempest. You guys are the London Spitfire. See ya. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I also wouldn't be surprised if, one of your other predictions happened and Florida cuts half of their players and they're like, we're going to be the Toronto Tempest, but we need, AKM and Mangachu or something. I don't know. They're probably going to get picked up mid-season, but you get what I'm saying. Or a contender seems like, oh, you know what? We want the 3 Misfits or Mayhem players. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw any of that. I do think it's possible that it doesn't make any sense logistically, but since when do I care about the rules when making predictions about things? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like this happen.
Yeah, and I think you kind of named the most likely scenario, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's already actively their conversation. And like, as soon as they're signing the contracts, going like, yeah, but reset next year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think especially if we see the Korean teams run the table here and finish, 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 3. We'll see a lot of interest in, I think, possibly that GC Busan roster being pulled away to an expansion squad. So we will have to wait and see. So I'm guessing after my last bold prediction, Dallas fans were pretty happy with me. I don't think I upset anybody too much. I mean, maybe Coco individually was like, hey, man, what are you doing? But I think Dallas fans in the overall were pretty happy with this. So let's fix that. Let's get them back mad at me. I'm much more comfortable when Fuel fans are mad at me. Siegel, your boy.
Your favorite.
He's going to rank dead last in the Dallas Fuel for playtime by the end of the season. Listen, I get it. He's super good. He plays all these niche heroes. He fills some gaps that Envy has had. I don't think they need him. To be perfect, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I think Effect is better and more impactful on his Tracer than Siegel is on any hero. Mm-hmm. And I think Taimu is better and more impactful on every hero. End of story.
Yeah.
Not really end of story, but for the most part, end of story. Listen, it's going to be hard to squeeze him in. And if they get to a point where they don't really want to be going into 3 DPS compositions on King of the Hill, and, I think there's a very real chance that he only comes in against those bottom tier teams when they're just giving people a little bit of a break, or maybe he plays a whole set against, a bottom tier team in middle, late season.
The garbage time.
Yeah, the garbage time, exactly. And listen, if I'm fantasy drafting Overwatch League Season 1, Seagull's not on my radar. I would not pick him up because there's too many questions about will he, won't he, how much, how little, and I don't want to deal with them. And looking at the roster, Harry Hook is so versatile. Even if they went into solo heals, like he's still going to see play, right? Like he's an incredibly well-balanced player, and it's going to be hard to exclude him from the roster. Right. And, you look at all these other players, and, the only other one that I could see is, maybe I'm dead wrong on the XQC Coco. Maybe one of them is in last place because the other one completely steals the job. I don't know. But I would be very hard-pressed to want to sub in Siegel when I have the quality of DPS that I do in Effect in Taimu.
Yeah, I would almost go as far to say that an even bolder prediction would be we see Siegel as a coaching staff member for season 2. Honestly, I think just based on the conversations we've had with, I think Ryan Morrison didn't explicitly say anything about Siegel for obvious reasons, but you can infer from what he said that Siegel really wanted to be a contributor and to play and to make an impact on a winning team. And I think that's one of the main reasons he went to Fuel. They're going to be a successful team, even if they're not the number one team, they're going to be a team, or they're likely to be a team that is in the running. Now, is he going to be a big contributor to that? I think I agree with you, man. I don't think he's not going to be their star player. And he potentially could have been a star player for another team. So maybe that's not what he wants, but it's got to be tough to have a very successful streaming career, arguably the most successful Overwatch streaming career, and turn that down, or not turn it down, but lessen that by a significant amount to play in the Overwatch League, and then not be a main contributor. It's just, even if your main goal is to win, like, I want to get that championship. I want to get the championship ring, the trophy. I want to be Overwatch League Season 1 champion. Like, okay, great. No, man. Like, that's not, like, I don't think so. I don't think that that's what he wants if he's not playing. I think that's going to take a toll on anyone, especially when they're doing something successful.
And I was a little distracted when you started it. You may have said this, but I think what he's doing on Dallas is, listen, he smells like his last teams, and it's not good. Mm-hmm. He's got to kind of erase that stain off of his name a little bit. I never thought he was the problem on any of his teams, but he's not played for a winner. And I think he can play for a winner here. And if he steps in, and he's going to be their main Pharah, right? Like, he's probably their main Genji. But Dallas doesn't care what the meta is. They've always been a team that operates on exceptions and plays what they want and beats you with it. And to be perfectly frank, they don't care what the meta is, and they don't need to care, because they have plans and they have a strategy, and they execute it better than you execute yours. Probably because you copy pasted yours from somebody else. And so, they're going to bring him in spots when they want to use those heroes, but not where everybody thinks they should use them. And like I said, it's just going to be sparing. So as long as he performs well in those sparing opportunities, and Dallas does well, he'll erase that stain from his name, and he'll be in a much better position to go be the guy somewhere else. Or maybe even if it's not the guy, as long as it's a starter in there every time. Like, if you think about him moving over to somewhere, I mean, it wouldn't make sense, right? Because I think they overlap too much, but like him and Tavik together, like, I don't think he'd have any problem being with a guy of Tavik's caliber. But again, it's an example that wouldn't work because of the hero pools, but he would be, quote, second fiddle, but as long, he doesn't want to be third or fourth fiddle, I don't think, in the long run.
Really, seventh or eighth fiddle to the whole team.
So I mean, I think he's putting his pride aside and his want to play and be super active to kind of erase that stain, to get on a winner, know what it's like, learn what it takes. You know what I mean? Get that experience with that team, know how they operate, what they do, and then use that information to go build his own winner somewhere else. And if he does that, as much as I don't want to root with his fans, I would really love to see it happen.
I think it would be a great story to see him really do well with minimum. I mean, it's really like the JV story, right? Like, I guess if you think of it from, like, he put himself as a JV player on a varsity team, and he's very good. He's the eighth grader playing JV. He's super good. He's way better than anyone else. It's in his grade. He got pulled up. The coach plans on playing him, but he's not going to start because he's not that good. He's not, the prodigy. He's not the LeBron James in eighth grade, but he's very good. You're going to learn a lot playing varsity. You're going to get way better. And then maybe he ascends, I could definitely see him making his own, being the big story for season 2 is that Siegel starts the Toronto Tempest, or, the Milwaukee Mountain Men or something. I don't know. I'm making up stuff now, but wouldn't be surprised. That's definitely an interesting one. So we've got a couple more bold predictions from Twitter. Do you want to run through those ones, Death?
Yeah, I'll read through them really quick, and then you can go into the break it down. First one here, we got 4 of them from Twitter. Like Blevin said, at Face the Ref says Soul's not going to win. Everybody's on the Soul train right now. You can
Not
use
me.
it. Not Blevins. He thinks too much with his heart. God bless him. But yeah, so he's saying Soul's not going to take things home here. The second one comes from at Herb's parents. SF Shock make the playoffs. Yeah, we've talked about it. If one of these Korean teams is going to fall, there's a lot more, suddenly a lot more room for one of these teams to make it. Shock gets better halfway through the season, whether we're right about our bold prediction or not. You don't get worse by adding new options, right? You only get worse by using them incorrectly. So I think they're going to get better over time, have a decent chance to make a run at it like that one. At Monkey Prince TMP says, I'm paraphrasing these a little bit, guys, so if I got your intention wrong, I'm sorry, just trying to make them kind of quicker and snappier. Shanghai is alive in the playoff race in late in the season. So going into maybe stage 3 or stage 4, Shanghai is still in it, and I think that would put them probably they'd have to be in like the 8th seed, maybe something like that, to realistically have a chance going into the final stage, but they'd really need to get on fire, so maybe even a little bit better than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I think that the scores probably divide themselves out enough where like the higher end teams are high up enough where they're locked, but it's possible that there's a big glut in the middle depending on how the matches play out, where it could be like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are all like in the last, like going into the last stage. Sure, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all like, and then like the upper and lower are mathematically not locked, but they'd have to like bomb the whole rest of the season or the whole last stage. But I could definitely see like we have a big glut in the middle where like if a team goes off and another team drops, we could definitely see some big swings there.
Hey, if big gluts in the middle weren't a big part of who makes the playoffs, our show would have been very different today. Let's see. So, and our last one here comes from, oh boy, the one person who I didn't grab their name for. I'm sorry. It's going to be too awkward if I go and find it. I think it was Raycor. I'm going to just give credit to
Raycor.
It was
Raycor, because there definitely was one from him.
Yeah, at Raycor_OW, 0 drops or trades during the signing window, only free agent acquisitions. So that was a really interesting one as well. Goes completely counter to one of my previous ones, which made it perfect in my book. So thank you to all of you who sent us in a bold prediction. I know some of you are sending them in while we're on the show, but our notes are done. So our apologies. But we'll read and respond to them anyways, so make sure you reach out to us on Discord if you want to talk about any other bold predictions.
Yeah, and so that's going to be it for those. Let us know what you thought. I mean, I think it's kind of fun to talk about that stuff. I think we're going to be pressed for time on a lot of these episodes to have this sort of like free form, like, oh, we're just going to talk about stuff and riff on it. It's going to be much more structured moving on, but let us know, because
no one believes this. No one.
Well, even if the segment doesn't necessarily make it onto High Noon Podcast, it could make it onto Around the Payload or one of the other shows. Who knows? So let's move on to our regularly scheduled.
Oh, let's break it. Yeah!
Bringing it down. We got a new developer update today, and normally wouldn't talk much about it, but there's a couple of Overwatch League things that were sprinkled in here, and I basically just wrote down the bullet points of what was important, so I'm going to run through them. So we got the official confirmation from Jeff Kaplan that the Overwatch League skins are coming soon, TM, Blizzard time. I would imagine that they're probably just going to get released when Overwatch League happens. So,
yeah, we didn't get to verify this, but I mean, it came from Thornrain, so I trust he's not lying to us. I just don't know if he was like on the PTR or something like that, but it looks like the background on the game is Overwatch League skins. So that would make me think they might drop them with the opening day. which would be really, really cool. So keep an eye out for that for sure.
Yeah. We got mentioned that Blizzard World is coming out. We got talk of Hero number 27, which is, quote unquote finished, but it's, they're still doing internal testing. They want to, Jeff Kaplan said they're much less worried about the amount of time or when they release him, like on a set schedule, and more working on getting the hero tuned so that they're in a good place when they release him. Which I'm glad. I'm not in a hurry for new heroes, honestly. Which is weird because in a game like Heroes of the Storm or other, like Hearthstone, I always want more cards. I wish there were new cards that came out every week. Or Heroes of the Storm, I wish there was a new hero every week. I'd be happy if there's a new hero every week. Overwatch is you know what? I don't want there to be that sort of entropy thrown into the system every, very rapid amount of time. I think 3 heroes were released in 2017. Orisa, Doomfist, and Moira. I'm pretty happy with that timeline, honestly. I wasn't upset.
Anna wasn't in 2017?
No, I think she was 2016.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm only basing that off of what Jeff Kaplan said in the thing, and I remember thinking the same exact thing in Sombra too. Also mentioned that there's new maps coming out or in development. No real info on that. Talked about improving competitive. Didn't talk about how they're doing that. Just talked that is a focus for the team, is to improve the competitive experience.
Some changes went live on that today too,
yeah.
So hopefully we're already seeing that be better.
Yeah, I'm hoping it. Honestly, they have made it a little bit better, at least as time went on. I really want it to feel like everyone that's playing comp is there, and they really want to try, and they are really putting their time into it. I feel like I'm not even going to go into it here because we could have a whole episode about how to improve it, but I trust that they're doing a good job of it. Jeff also talked about storyline progression, specifically with more comics and animated shorts, which everyone seems to like. And then he talked about upcoming events. So confirmed that Lunar New Year is happening again. Of course, this year is not the year of the rooster again. It's the year of the dog. So he talked about that. He talked about Overwatch Uprising coming back. He said he wants to make sure that players who missed the event last year have the ability to experience what it was last year, but also wants to do a new iteration. And he mentioned that they've got some cool stuff that people are really going to like, cool new stuff that people are going to really like for that. So that's interesting. And he also talked about the Overwatch anniversary event coming back with, of course, new skins. And the last thing he mentioned was new base loot box content. So new stuff for the non-event loot boxes, which is always cool. So that was it from the developer update. Not, like I said, not a whole heck of a lot for Overwatch League, but it's always, anything that happens in the game is going to in some way affect competitive, unless it's purely cosmetic. So even if it's just affecting the fan base, that's always going to help. So good to bring up. Moving right along, we had finally the Overwatch League preseason stats were released by Winston's Lab. They, of course, are basically doing it by hand, which explains why it took so long to get them out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're scraping some of these stats. I don't know exactly how their stat collection all works, but it's the same type of stuff we got for the previous tournaments, right? We're still not getting the here's Lynxer's eliminations or here's Tavik's damage done on this map and this map, but we're getting the comp rates, the pick rate stuff. So it's really good, really valuable information to take a look at. I haven't gotten to dive too deep into it yet.
Well, they do, but yeah, have a lot. They have more stuff for this than they normally would. So you can look at the pick rates for each team, which is kind of cool.
you were able to do.
Oh, well, I'm an idiot. But just real quick, I just want to go through like the top heroes played. Notably, first 222 comp was played 87, almost 88% of the time, with the next closest being triple DPS at 7%. So we're seeing 222 really be overwhelmingly played.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
I feel like this is more so than we even would normally see. I feel like it's distributed a little bit more so.
Yeah, I would attribute that to the hiding information and
That's
just wanting to play cookie cutter.
That is a good point. So take these with a grain of salt, but the top heroes were Mercy at 87%, Diva at 84%. This is for all the teams.
Sorry, I was just
What's that?
dry heaving because you said Mercy's name first. Sorry.
Yeah, Mercy at 87%, Diva at 84, Tracer at 80, Winston at 78, Zenyatta at 72, and then this one was interesting. This one might make you undry heave. Widowmaker at 22%.
More than
jump.
Lucio.
Yeah. When was that ever the case?
Never, roughly.
Probably never. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would have ever been true before. But yeah, so just some really interesting numbers. Again, this will probably be more relevant to Overwatch League. Like the Overwatch League pick rates, things like that. When you see characters like Widowmaker, they perform better on the LAN client with the higher tick rate.
With better players too.
Well, that's true too. But I mean, it does scale down too. But like with the higher tick rate, like it matters a lot, and that's what the players and the teams have been accrediting to the increase in Widowmaker picks and things like that. So, but yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to see just how useless all these stats are. Once they like, I mean, they might be super reliable. Maybe they were showing us their compositions. I don't know. That's the point. It's going to be really interesting to see what this looks like. I want to compare this to week 1 when the stats go up.
Well, we certainly can do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And then the last piece of news that we had was that Alicus, who we saw go kind of on hiatus, and then I think I swear I remember reading him say something that he wasn't going to do anything with Overwatch anymore, or maybe it was just that he was doing something with League of Legends, and I assumed that he wasn't doing anything with Overwatch. But he was signed by Infinite Esports Entertainment, who are the Outlaws and Optics parent company, as a scouting director for both their LCS and Overwatch League teams. So he's doing both. He's doing Overwatch League and LCS. Definitely been a notable member of the Overwatch competitive community. Sometimes a bit controversial, but his track record, he is a very opinionated person, but his track record has really kind of proven itself. So it's definitely an interesting one. I know, obviously, Death, you're excited about this because you've got a proven commodity helping scout your future players, either for the future or contenders, open division teams, etc., feeder teams for the future of the Outlaws. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, it's not clear exactly what he's going to be doing with the organization, but there's a lot of Overwatch knowledge in that man's brain, and he works for the good guys now. So go Houston.
They're literally the bad guys.
Yeah, they're the good guys.
They're literally the bad guys.
That's what makes them the good guys.
Greenwall.
That's how this works.
Greenwall.
You got a backwards brain.
But that is it. That's all we got. We're at just about, of course, we planned for another short episode and it went over an hour, just like every other one that we planned to be a short episode.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's it. Death, any last second shout outs or anything you want to throw in there?
No real shout outs, but next week, guys, it's
the big
full
one.
On. Yeah, it is full on.
Number 100.
Yeah, episode 100. We're really, really excited about that. But it's also kind of the regular season mode, right? Like it's an introductory episode to the regular season because we don't have to recap anything, but we are going to be going match by match through what will be your first week of the inaugural season of Overwatch League. If you're not excited yet, I don't know, your heart stopped working a long time ago. I'm ecstatic. Cannot wait to see these guys get started, and I can't wait for the Houston Outlaws to crush the New York Excelsior.
Not a chance. It's gonna I almost am gonna feel bad that you're gonna be so disappointed at how awful they're gonna do, how awful the Outlaws are gonna do against the Excelsior.
Good. Build yourself up. Build yourself up. You're gonna be wearing that hat for a long time, my friend.
I'm gonna literally wear it until they win the first season of Overwatch League. So then I'm not gonna need to wear it anymore. That I get to move on. To another team. I'll wear my Mayhem. I'll wear a Mayhem hat until they win.
Not if you keep losing maps to Boston.
Preseason doesn't matter. But oh man, riding the pine. That is such a good description for being an XL fan. Riding the pine.
Yeah, sitting on the bench, you're just like an afterthought. Nobody even knows you're there. That's what riding the pine means. You'd be a bench. You'd be on the bench.
I would be on the bench because I'm selling popcorn in the stands to fund the team. Okay, that's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for listening. Definitely stick around for episode 100. It's gonna be the big one. We're gonna be doing the full. We just finished our preseason. This was our last game of our preseason. The season starts at the same time that the players does, and we're going to be sprinting. So let us know, obviously, everything that you think, good, bad, or otherwise, over on the Discord. All the links to everything is at highnoonpodcast.com. Also, guys, if you're listening to this, let's see. If you're listening to this live, definitely check out Around the Payload tomorrow. New episode coming out tomorrow. Deathblow is going to get to finally come on to an episode. He's going to get his debut. We've also got Not Rob from Omnic Lab, and we've got Left Guy coming on the show as well as returning formerly defamed before I refamed him today. Thorn Rain is coming back. So we've got a good show planned out for Around the Payload tomorrow. So definitely check that out. If you're listening in podcast land, if you're listening to it day one, it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/highnoonpodcast, which is where you can find everything live all the time. We're going to be doing, I'm not even going to say we're going to try. We're going to be doing more live stuff. It's just going to happen because the stuff we do is it's pretty much always going to end up on Twitch, or we're going to record it on Twitch. So
yeah, we're happy to give you guys that behind the scenes, like with our cuts and pre-edits, all that stuff. Yep. So if you want to see how the sausage gets made, come hang out with us.
Before I edit out me saying Shanghai and put Seoul in instead, which I'm definitely doing.
That's why I had to call you out, because there's been too much conversation about it now to organically remove it. So that was well executed by me. So I'm patting myself on the back.
Yep, I'm just gonna edit out the whole end of the show. But that is gonna be it, guys. Remember, always check out highnoonpodcast.com. Head over to the Discord. It is I don't even feel bashful about saying this. It is the best Discord you could ever join ever. It's amazing. It keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. We get more and more people and more heated fans defending their teams. We got our first Uprising fan.
I did. I feel like I was a little too hard on him though. I haven't seen him since he joined, and I started dropping memes that I've just had saved and waiting.
Just been waiting for the first one to show up, but yeah. So definitely join that. Join the Pick'em League. The link is on the Discord.
Yes.
And remember to enter the giveaway as well. Pin tweet on Twitter. But that is going to be it, guys. Again, huge thanks to everyone who watched live. Huge thanks to everyone in the Discord. Huge thanks to all the patrons over at patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. Huge thanks to all of the Twitch subscribers. You guys are all great. Huge thanks to everyone. Huge thanks to Matcherino for sponsoring our SoundCloud. And also, don't forget, thanks to Adam Hoek, who put on the awesome outro music, which you are about to hear. But guys, that is, in fact, it for Deathblow. I'm the Blevins. And remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. Threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll
What did the Bills make again?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
My ears perked up. I'm like, is this how do you want me to scream made the playoffs? Because that's how you get me to scream made the